Welcome to another RES Wave market update. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to explain to you what I believe is going on in the Dow Jones. Right, so if you don't know RES Wave, I suggest you try to find out what it is because it's going to help you understand this, and I'll tell you why. Because understanding this could also help you understand what could potentially happen to Bitcoin. So if that's not a good enough reason for you, I don't know what is. So without further ado, so looking at this chart from the 1987, you can see that I've got it marked out BC. So yes, I do believe the 87 crash was a C wave. Okay, so it's, in my opinion, the same wave that is not only the GFC, but also the Corona crash. Okay, so three C waves marked out for you. I just haven't labeled the small ones up the top there. But this is actually what's fractal patterns. According to RS Wave, every corrective portion of a move has an A, B, C, D, E. Now, in theory, that's easy to understand, but there's a little bit more to it because if you don't know what those individual wave components consist of, then it's going to be hard for you to understand what's coming. But I'll try to explain it to you in this video. But like I said, if you learn it yourself, you're going to learn all the nuances and all the little bits that I don't explain here because there's always more, right? And I'm not saying that it's complex. It's just that you don't want to miss out on any piece. Otherwise, you're not going to have all the knowledge. So anyway, so after that 87 crash, we're looking for a D wave. Okay, so we had the first move up in that D wave for wave A. So you notice I've made that one larger than this one, the one up here in the end of 2018. Okay, so we had a wave A and a wave B. So the A wave was a complex zigzag, right? I would say that's a type 2 expanded zigzag. The B wave was more of actually, I'd still call that a type 2 expanded. So these are expanded zigzags. Okay, and then the C wave was obviously how it resolved to the downside. Now, before we continue, I'd like to just quickly mention that Bitcoin is also in a C wave. Okay, so if you haven't seen my previous update in the last few days, I did say that we're in a 1-2-1-2 pattern for Bitcoin, right? So if you want to draw a comparison, it's not that hard really, right? You can see here, right, a 1-2-1-2, and then you saw a 3-4-5. Actually, there's a three. Hang on, let me do that again. I might have to zoom in for this one. Oops, I keep doing that. All right. So you have a 1-2-1-2-3-4-5-4-5. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, so we've seen up until roughly about this point here on Bitcoin so far. Okay, and you know that I do believe that the top is an A B C pattern, right? And we haven't seen the rest of C yet. Just so you know, this is like just a very good indication of what I mean, but with a visual representation of what I believe is going to happen. And as you know, this one did actually come back and just break beneath the previous low, which I believe can happen. Absolutely. I don't think there's anything that can stop it, to be honest. It's just expanded corrections to the upside tend to resolve down to the downside. And it doesn't mean that they're going to go to the previous wave four, but typically it usually is the previous wave four. But I actually have a way to understand this a bit better. But what I believe is it typically retraces to the previous fourth wave of the previous third wave. So that's how I tend to look at it. But that's getting a bit deep now. So we're in this massive D wave, and then we saw the ABC GFC C wave, and then where's the D wave? Well, it's not there. And before we continue, I'm just going to let you know that on the NASDAQ, I'm going to show you that chart next, and that actually has the same pattern. And that's another thing that I like to do. If there's not similarities in those two charts, then the idea gets thrown out the window. Except this one is so insane that it kind of boggles the mind a little bit that this is actually happening, right? Um, and to me, like, this. Anyway, I won't get into that now because you know, Elliott wave. Let me just tell you something. Elliott wave a lot of people say you can't just use technical analysis, you got to use fundamentals as well. And I believe the reason for that is because the technical analysis they're using is crap. It's not that great, or it doesn't help them much. So they need to combine forces of two for like some confluence or whatever. And I believe that, to a certain extent, I used to believe that's true, but now it's just, to me, that's just like, um, going to the pokies and putting your money into three pokies simultaneously because you don't trust one of them to win, which I don't blame you, but still, it's just an example. So anyway, so looking at the smaller degree, you can see that I've marked out the exact same ABC patterns at the smaller degree. So yes, the A and the B and the C did happen in the Corona crash, and we did see this move up, which I do believe is a complete D wave. Um, and if it isn't, then wow, that's all I can say. Are we in the midst of a D wave of a D wave of a D wave? No, no, I don't think that's true. But if it is, I think it would have become pretty clear by now. Except in the middle here, I have already done the analysis on this for a while last year, and yeah, basically it looks like a D wave complete. It's a sharp D wave for sure, which also makes you wonder: is this D wave that we're in now going to be as crazy? Okay, so in my opinion, the E wave now, uh, it's either over or we're going to go lower. Okay, now in my opinion, like I said to you before, the correction will go down to the previous fourth wave or the previous third wave, which to me is probably a little bit lower than what the Corona C wave went. So I do believe that we are going to see some further downside to hit those areas there. Um, and then basically go for the C wave up, which is going to be another bull run. Okay, in my opinion, it'll be a pretty decent bull run. And then we're going to be looking for the E wave. So this E wave deep, I believe, and then the E wave that comes after, probably also deep, um, but expectations of the larger D wave ending, if it's not expanded, will most likely come back down to the end of wave A, which is one of the types of, um, well, that would be a type 1 expanded zigzag. Um, and the expectation would be that it comes back down to these areas, almost like a resistance becoming support type thing over the long run. But, you know, that's just an assumption at this point. The E wave might end higher, which might make it expanded, all that type of thing. It just really depends. Although, if interest rates continue to go higher, like I believe they will, then I don't think that that's really going to be the case. I just think that people won't really care until it gets really bad, right? It's like the frog in boiling water. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Usually, the frog will sense the heat for a while until it's boiling, and before it realizes it's too hot, it's dead, right? So you never know. It could be expanded, but I think that it will probably come back down, right? Come back down to earth, because at the moment people are still living in this low interest environment mentally, and they probably don't believe that things will get that bad, right? Just like the frog. So anyway, so basically moving on, like, this is a D wave within a larger D wave. So um, yeah, I don't believe that this move up from the Corona down, sorry, up from the Corona crash is still ongoing. I think it's done. I think it definitely was expanded. Um, but I do believe, due to the interest rate environment now, at the larger degree, this will come back down further. Um, if it doesn't, then we could see a couple of moves up. Obviously, if this was an ongoing D wave, we'd see the C wave back for E wave back down again, probably, and then the C wave again. So it kind of gives you like a bit of a roadmap as to what could happen. Okay, now I'm going to go into more detail on this. I'm just giving you the general overview, just because I feel like those who are watching now are probably going to be those who will continue to follow me and watch me later. So you'll probably have an idea, more of an idea as I go along, as to what I mean by these things, right? So this is like the general overview. I'll probably refer back to this video quite a few times because it's just basically laying down the foundation, right? So now that we have this in place, right, I think it's a good idea to move over to the NASDAQ, the NDX chart, and show you how this is actually happening on the NASDAQ as well, even though it may seem different. Okay, so the A wave that went up in the 90s, it had a sharp wave A down. So this is once again one of those expanded type 2 zigzag type A waves, same as the Great Depression. It looks like a 5 wave move, except if you look closely at the subdivisions, you can see that there's a corrective portion in there, which is what I'm talking about. Right, so A, B, C, same as the GFC, and then where's the D wave? Well, we haven't had it yet. It's not complete. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's A, and then we have A, B, C. This being a D now, unless once again, unless it happens to be part of an ongoing D wave, um, which I will definitely get to investigating that soon. I'm just giving you an overview here. Um, then more than likely this will be an A, B, C, D, E, come back down to the previous fourth wave, something like that. If it doesn't happen now, it'll happen down the track. So either way, it sort of still puts things into perspective, so we do understand where we are. We're in a D wave, and we're in the corrective portion of a D wave, no matter how you look at it. Okay. Now, whether we are in the D wave still of that corrective portion, well, we'll get to that soon, right? There's only so much I can explain to you in one video, especially because this is actually the second time I'm recording this. If for some reason it wasn't uploading, so actually this time around I did include the part about Bitcoin, which is probably why it happened. It wanted me to mention that. So yeah, once you understand the patterns, it actually becomes a lot easier to understand that this thing occurs in all markets. It just depends if you can understand the pattern. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what it is. I know it's a pretty crazy nutshell, the Russian doll nutshell, but yeah, like I said to you, I will be covering these a bit more in depth now that we know where we're trading within. I will focus mainly on that particular wave since 08, 09, and then pull it apart, small degree. Where are we? Are we still going to go higher? Are we not? And how does that all fit together with other markets and cryptos? So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.